Hello, buddy. This is Purge bringing you guys a little bit of an opinion piece. Going to be going over the spring cleaning update with you guys. I've already looked this over once. Normally, I don't make update videos or opinion pieces on little patches like this, but there's a lot of things that are semi-significant, and I know a lot of people ask me about it, so I thought it was justified to make a video about it. So here we go. Let's just hop right in. This is spring cleaning. So what it basically means is Valve went through the giant ass bug list that exists on the forums, and they go through and they fix a bunch of stuff, which is arguably some of the most important work they could do. And I'm really happy that they go through once a year and do this because there's so many cool bug fixes and quality of life improvements. So we'll talk about a lot of them. So yeah, a lot of bug fixes, quality of life improvements. They address issues they get lost in the tournament and balance update shuffle, which I think is completely fair. Most of the time, people focus on game balance, things like that, but there's a lot of other things that can make the game more fun to play and will encourage people to play the game more often. So, first, most contentious things that have been changed: neutral spawn indicators in game. When you're placing a ward in game, either a sentry or an observer, it shows you the spawn boxes of the neutral camps, which means that when you're going to ward or deward or block a camp, you can now see exactly the line that is going to let you block the camp. So before, to know this information, you'd have to go into a game and practice it and test it. There are some games, neutral spawn box, I think it's called neutral camp spawn box or something like that, and you can go in and do it yourself and practice and remember those things. But if you're playing a game and you don't remember, then you're not going to be able to block as well. So it's basically, this is a buff to people that don't do their homework. And generally, there's a lot of backlash from pros because in pro games, knowing that knowledge is going to give you a leg up on other people. And now players that don't do the research are going to have a slightly better ability to block and deward and stuff like that. So for the pro scene, I agree that this shouldn't exist. And maybe there's a way that they can do it where they separate it. I stole this idea slightly from other people because I've read a lot of posts about it in the last couple days. But the general consensus right now is that this should only exist in normal unranked games. In ranked games and in pro matches, this shouldn't exist. And I sort of agree. But I think the reason that it's at least okay that it exists in the game is comes down to one very simple thing. There's before we talk about this super breakdown, the other really big thing is you can now see tower range. If you hold Alt, if you choose an option in the options menu and you hold Alt, you can see what the tower attack's at. And this is also a thing that is going to make the game easier to play, but it also protects people for easy mode. This one is going to affect me, and so is this one. I don't always remember what these are. In fact, right now I'm not really sure about small camp blocks, but keep in mind it's going to be useful for blocking and dewarding, because now I'm going to be able to see exactly where the perfect edge of dewarding is, and I should be able to make a better educated guess about where they plant, for example. So this is good for both blockers and dewarders, so it's kind of beneficial for both, but even still, it rewards those that don't do homework versus those that do homework. So possible downside. The tower range one's a little bit more significant, I think, and especially in the pro scene as well, because now you can see exactly what the range of a tower is. I can't remember what the attack range versus true sight is. That's the only other thing that I might need to look into, because if it's similar, and I think it's similar, but I think it's slightly different. A true sight's maybe a bit lower, longer, something like that, then you can basically figure out exactly where they're going to be able to see you if you have an invis rune or if you're an invis hero, for example. Also, when I'm zoning an offlaner hero, I take tower hits all the time, like at least every other game. I'll take a tower hit as I'm zoning an offlaner, and now I'm never going to take a tower hit because as I'm approaching the tower range, I'm going to hold Alt down and I'm going to see where the tower range is. Boom, all of a sudden, no longer have to worry about that. So these two things, while they are making the game easier, the important thing, and ultimately the better thing that makes this worth it, is that it's going to get more people into Dota. Because Dota is notoriously difficult to learn, and that is difficult, and you could say things like, but my skill cap, which applies to pro scene, but for pubs, with the exclusion of ranked, I don't really agree there. It's important that the game has a lot of skill caps and things like that, but the very basic things, like you can play the game without seeing these in game. You can play the game without knowing attack range and target indicator, but how long does it take for an average Dota 2 player who never watches video or guides to understand how neutral spawn boxes work, where they are? Most of those players are never going to figure it out, but when they start placing wards and sentries, they're going to see it and they're going to figure it out. They're going to be like, what does this box do? Huh, I wonder. And then they're going to think about it and they're going to be like, okay, so that's how you block camps. Like, just having little things like that to teach new players the game is going to mean that a small percentage of them are more likely to continue playing the game. And the end point of that, which is ultimately very important for people like me and pros, is that the more casual players that play the game means more people that are going to buy compendiums, that are going to increase prize pools, they're going to increase the viability of the pro scene. I mean, someday Dota 2 is not going to be popular anymore. It's going to die out. I don't know if it's going to take 10 years. I don't think it'll take 5 years. I could see maybe 10, 15. But when the scene first started, I said, oh yeah, 6, 7 years maybe. But we're already like 6 years into it now. Almost. So I think Dota's going to go on for a long time, but making the game easier to play for new players is only going to increase the player base and make the game more successful in the long term. This means more people to watch my videos, more people to buy things from me, for example, to buy my signatures in game, buy cosmetic items that are in some way related to me. Like, for me personally, it's beneficial, and I'm just saying this because I don't want to just make you guys feel like I'm only doing it for my benefit. But the same goes for pro players. They're gonna buy compendiums. They're gonna buy item sets from the pro players. They're gonna buy in-game tickets that support tournaments that give prize pools that allow players to earn the money. It's only a good thing if we increase the player base. There's obviously a line that we shouldn't cross, but I think for the spawn indicators one and the tower range one, I think as it currently stands, I would accept it because I think it does more positives than negatives, even though it does in a small way. Well, it doesn't in a small way. In a way, it does incentivize players that don't practice. But with that also said, I think in terms of the spawn indicators, I think it's also going to advance warding and dewarding in terms of blocking in the offlane a little bit. And I think that's going to be kind of fun as well. So as a whole, I think it's a positive for the growth of Dota 2. It's a negative for the absolute top MMR and a nerf to anybody that practices really hard on their spawn boxes and knows where the tower ranges are. But I think it's a very small negative and a definitely positive change that could increase the player base, and that's something that we want. So I understand if you guys feel bad about it, but it's about making the game bigger, and I think that's a good way for Valve to go and to make the game easier to play and more fun to play. Other cool things, camera control group hotkeys. You can bind specific map locations to a single keystroke. Hold control and tap the key of your choice to set a map position. Once set, tap the key to move the camera to that location. So the main thing that this is going to be good for is rune spots. You could put normally there's ways to do this with console that players have been using in the pro scene for a very long time, but you could set hotkeys to map positions. So you could tap a hotkey to check bot rune, then tap a hotkey to check top rune, and that way you can check both top and bottom rune as the runes spawn within 1 second, rather than clicking on the map, looking there. That'll take at least quarter of a second, half second, then click it on the map going top rune, because that would take another quarter of a second or half second. So basically, ideally you can use it to check locations a bit faster, or for example, if I'm split pushing and a team is getting ready for a push, I could set a camera control group at the bot racks. That way, while I'm split pushing top, I can very easily go, I could do like control 4 on the racks, and then I can go back to split pushing with my hero, double tap 1. And then when I see them pushing on the map, I can press 4 really quick, double tap 4, and then boom, I go there, and I can double tap 1 to go back to myself. So it saves me a little bit of time going back and forth. It means you're less likely to get caught out of position, basically. So this could be actually really useful. If you can continuously do hotkeys on the fly, I think I would actually even integrate this. Reading this now, what I should do is I should set up a hotkey that lets me set it. So for example, I use 4, 5, and 6 for items and level up and stuff like that, so I won't be using those. But if I can get a new hotkey, and this is definitely one of the downsides of the legacy keys, you run out of keyboard space because you use keys for just about everything. But if I can set a new hotkey to a camera position, then I can do that to, for example, if I'm getting ready for a gank, I can set my camera on where the hero is, and then I can jump between the mid and where my hero is repeatedly. That way, as I'm approaching the gank, I can basically see 2 places at once instead of just one. Might increase, maybe it'll slightly decrease my efficiency of getting a gank off because I'll get distracted or something, but I think it'll be overall very, very good for, nice, my mic's not muted, that's good to check now. Good to have. So this is kind of cool, and could accelerate gameplay a little bit in some ways. They also, did I miss anything else? No, I didn't. Okay. Streamlined settings menu, so they're updating the settings menu to be better, so that's great. Can't wait to take a poke through that once it gets in the game. Armory organization is going to be improved again, which that's what they're saying. Hopefully that's the case. I still think the armory is a little complicated, especially for players like me that have massive armories, and that's mostly just because I've been playing for forever, and whenever I would open some random chest or something, or get a random set from some reward thing, now I just have like crap loads of chests. Maybe I should just recycle a lot of them. Maybe I'll go do that later, but we'll see. They also expanded the armory. That's pretty cool. This is amazing. Hero specific ability hotkeys. Thank God. It's especially good for me as a legacy key user, but it should be good for all of you guys. Basically now, every hero can have customized hotkeys. This should get rid of a lot of bugs, I think, with a lot of heroes like Rubik and Invoker. There's a lot of bugs inherent in those heroes, but basically every hero will now store probably a database for their hotkeys between each hero. So if I just don't like what my hotkeys are on some heroes and I play legacy keys, then I can't change that. I'm fucked. I bet this might fix me for ability draft as well, because my ability draft hotkeys are always messed up on legacy. And again, you could be saying, well, you shouldn't be playing legacy. And you're right about that, but the fact that they went through to take the time to fix this for some of their viewers, I think, is a really good thing. So I'm excited about this. I'll probably change hotkeys on Rubik for sure, because my lift is Z. I really don't like that. For Shadow Fiend, I'll probably change his hotkeys as well, because they're ZXC for raises, where I would rather just put them on QWE, honestly. Because with QWE, then, like, I usually rest my fingers on AWER, for example. So if I want to press Z, I put my pinky down to hit it, and that's not efficient. I would rather have it on QWE, because it's easier hotkeys for me to use, pretty much. Or maybe I'll do WER, then change my ulti to, like, F or something. Who knows, something like that might be better. But I'm sure I'll change a lot of hotkeys on my heroes, so pretty soon my hotkeys are going to be all messed up and you guys are going to be confused. So, but that's pretty cool. I really like that there's hero-specific ability hotkeys. This is hugely effective. Minimap update, they've got arrows now instead of X's. You can kind of see which way they're pointed or turning already, but I think this is a nice change that I will definitely adapt. Browse full store. Oh, that's kind of a good idea. That way you could just... That's a cool idea. It should be easier to find things to purchase, so incentivize people buying sets on the market. Because right now it's very easy to buy chests, but it's difficult to know how to buy sets unless you're like in-game and it's like, hey, buy this set for $2. So I think that's cool. Independent voice and chat muting now is in the game. So if somebody leaves their mic on and they're playing music and you hear it all the time, you can mute that, but they're still typing things and using chat stuff that's constructive, then you can still do that. So basically you're more likely to mute people that are being unconstructive in text, but if they're just being voice or audio annoying, then you don't have to like fully mute their participation in the game, which I think is good. User interface. Okay, now we have a giant ass list of bug fixes, which I'm going to talk about the ones mainly that have big implications. I haven't like super detailed combed through this. I'm going to try to do this now. I've got about 40 minutes until I've got something to do. So I'm going to try to do this in 40 minutes. Couple big ones. Cool. These are mostly just like cool, not a big deals. This one I think is really big. Enabled binding mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down, and mouse 3 is a hotkey. Mouse 3 is when you push down. If your mouse has the capabilities of the mouse wheel pushing down, that can also be a hotkey. I never really do that. I know some players use it as their camera grip. I think that's the only way you could use mouse 3 in the past, but I don't think I really like that much. Maybe if I got used to it, I'd be good with it, but I haven't ever gotten used to it. So, but mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down is great because that's now 2 more hotkeys that I can use. I'm not sure what I'm going to bind to these. I might bind an item slot to it or 2. Right now my upper right item hotkey is Alt E, and that one's kind of a pain in the ass to use. I usually put things on it that aren't very good. In fact, right now I really like my 4, 5, and spacebar hotkeys. Those ones I think are really, I always feel fully comfortable using those. My mouse left click and my mouse right click are not very good. I don't really like those ones. So I might change my left 2 to mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down. That's entirely possible because I actually never do that in game, I feel. But I'll definitely try it out. I'll try both of these things out. Yeah, I feel pretty good about my mouse wheel on this mouse. It kind of comes down to how good your mouse feels. Sorry if I made you guys throw up right there, but it depends on how good your mouse is for mouse wheel up and mouse down. I have a SteelSeries mouse right now, and I really like the wheel. It's very easy to use. It doesn't feel difficult. So I'll probably try to use these in a game because I can control my mouse pretty well while also doing mouse wheel. Whereas with my mouse buttons, when I basically control my mouse by gripping it, for example, like I squeeze it in my hand. So when I have to take my thumb off the side of the mouse to press a mouse button, I have a little bit less control on my mouse and I often misclick a little bit. So I might change my left 2 hotkeys to mouse up, mouse down. And I'll probably do stuff like bottle or something. Put bottle on up, that way if I roll more than once, it doesn't matter, for example. It doesn't make a difference. So for non-precise items like wand or bottle, I'll probably put them on those left 2 hotkeys and pretty much always leave them there. The only downside is that if I need to press both at the same time, it's not good because I can't do mouse up and mouse down at the same time. So that's something to consider when you're assigning hotkeys, stuff like that. But I'm really happy that got changed because it's a new space for people to use hotkeys. It's great. Okay, fixed strings modified in custom games carrying over to other games. I've seen this before. There'll be things like if I play Overthrow and then I play a regular game, it'll see Pudge modified, for example. So those things probably don't get fixed until you restart Dota. But I've noticed that and I've never paid attention to it. Added range indicator for items on hover. That's really cool. So things like hex range. I think this is worth it. Absolutely. It should have been added. That way people don't have to like Google something to figure out what the cast range of hex is or the cast range of Euls. This is only going to make the game easier to learn. New players should not have to Google something to figure that out. Giving the range indicator on the items is worth it. Same for Blink Dagger and stuff like that. Like I honestly don't know in game what the Blink Dagger range is, but I guarantee now that I'm going to be hovering over that shit when I get ready for ganks, and I'm going to make less mistakes. And again, yes, barrier to entry. That barrier of entry is good for players that take the time to research all that stuff, but it's such a pain in the ass to learn ranges and things like that that it makes the players worse. You don't necessarily give them that ability to learn it, and that's another thing. If a new player joins the game, or if I join the game and I'm like, I actually don't know exactly, looking at the screen, how far Blink is, I should be able to in-game easily check it out. And hovering over it with my mouse is a perfect example of allowing myself to figure that out. I think that stuff like that needs to be in the game, 100%. Same with earn range, same with Force Staff cast range, Glimmer Cape cast range, all that crap. I need to be able to easily see that in game. It should always be there. Alright, this one makes it easier for your hero to notice your hero. That's irrelevant for me, but for some players, it's a big deal, especially when a new player is learning the game. It's going to be hard for them to see where their HP is. Right-click option in the armory preview to unpack and equip directly. Okay, that's cool. You can invert quick cast on button release rather than press. That one's pretty cool because the way quick cast works is as soon as you press the item, it will activate to where you're pointing. So if I have a sheep stick, for example, and I press my quick cast item, it'll instantly hex as soon as I press that button on the person I'm clicking, or I'm highlighted over, instead of before you'd have to press, if you use regular hotkeys, press it and then left click. So now you can press it to prepare for it to go off, but you can release it instantly to cast it when it's ready. So it's like an alteration of quick cast, but possibly a better one. I actually kind of like this one personally. Another example is using TP scrolls, I believe. If you're using TP scrolls to go somewhere and using quick cast, if you're not mouse positioned on the right place, you could really screw yourself over. So maybe I'll give this a shot, play with it on one day, see if I like it, try to get used to it. I'm a little scared. Another way that quick cast was actually bad was that if does that work? No, I was thinking about casting Hex on somebody that's disrupted or asked to imprison, for example. But I don't think that matters because I usually, when somebody's doing that, I spam it. That way I can get them before they blink or something like that. But you can probably do that quick cast as well. Might be wrong, though. Fix graphs flatlining your game pause. That's a good fix. After clicking on a keybind control, it will present you with an X button, which can be used to unbind that key. That's good. In the past, you couldn't unbind something, I feel like. Voice chat and dashboard now clearly shows who's talking. That's cool. Before, it was just like mystery noise. I was really confused. Text me to players still being able to draw on the menu map. There's so much stuff. I actually can't read all of this. Maybe I should have... This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause really quick. I'm going to read it over, and then I'll be right back. Thank God for XSplit pause. Okay, I poked around on these ones a little bit. Most of these are really boring and don't really matter that much, but a lot of them are just quality of life. You can mute your voice in the dashboard. Well, that's not the one, but I read it somewhere down here. They added an AoE to Ignite on Ogre Magi. There's a bunch of new cheats that you can use in custom games to save you a little bit of time. Little stuff like that. Poison Sting debuff issues. Rubik stealing spells in quick succession could cause the ability keybinds to get scrambled. I've had something similar like that happening when I play against invokers as Rubik, and it like messes up all my hotkeys. Like they actually just stop working. I can't lift, stuff like that. Just lots of little things like that. But now the more important stuff is more the gameplay issues stuff down here. Fixed issues with memory fragmentation and the game crashing. Fixed some bug with stunning as you TP. Just little things like that. You know, when you would see a courier die, even though it's already been dead, you would see it die again as you walk there for the first time. Just little bugs like that. I'm hoping some of these stuff really breaks some cheats that exist as well. That would be helpful. Assists now get counted whenever you place a debuff on enemy heroes that dies. That's pretty cool. Very big for heroes like Dazzle, who normally don't get very many big numbers of assists. In fact, it's going to mess up a lot of pro stats, because Dazzles from now on will get way more assists, because if you just weave the whole enemy team, you're going to get 5 assists, whereas before, if you weave them but you don't do damage to each one, then you don't actually get an assist. So it's going to be a couple of heroes that actually get a lot more assists on the kill board. I believe they don't get extra gold from this, because otherwise it would have been adjusted in a patch. I think the gold you get is for assists are only for experience, so it's more just a scoreboard updater for a lot of heroes. So we're going to see the assists on that each hero gets be a little bit different now. And they also, same thing, assists now get counter whenever you place a buff on a hero that kills an enemy hero. So that's another cool one. So for example, if I'm playing Oracle and I only buff my carry, then and he gets a kill on an enemy hero, then I still get an assist for that. Same for Omni Knight. Heal an ally just for the heal and repel him, I can still get an assist for that. So full buff heroes are going to get a lot more assists now. It's going to maybe... I don't think it's very impactful, not a big deal. Lifestealer having the wrong HP bar when infesting ancients, that makes a lot of sense. Sunray having a delay on updating the visual location of the ray. Not sure what that's about. Just a couple things that actually do influence game. Fix Ice Wall debuff lingering on heroes that become spell immune. So usually when you go spell immune, it stays on you for a little bit longer, but it should be instantly removed. So this is actually a nerf to Invoker, but it's a bug fix that ends up in a nerf. So there are going to be some things like that are bug fixes that end up being nerfs to certain heroes. Here's a perfect example of a nerf to Invoker. If you pop BKB, Ice Wall immediately goes off, is my guess is how this works. Whereas before, it would last for a little bit longer. Fix Untouchables lingering when attempting to attack units other than Enchantress. Thank the fucking lord. This one was so annoying. If you'd right-click Enchantress once, the Untouchable would proc to your hero, and then as you try to attack a creep or last hit, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it got denied. Shit, that sucks. So hopefully that goes away now. And it should be going away. Nerf to Enchantress. Very small nerf, quality of life nerf. It will affect win rates, I promise. You kill Enchantress, you change targets to somebody else, all of a sudden Untouchable is not long on you any longer. If you start to attack Enchantress and you're like, wow, this is never going to go through, let me attack somebody else. But then you're like, oh shit, it's still on me. She actually just gave Untouchable essentially to that other hero, and now I don't do anything for a full second. So that right there, nerf to Enchantress, and that's why they bolded this. Nerf to Enchantress, nerf to Invoker. I don't know if this is a nerf to the Phoenix or not. Fix Lycan's Ult Wolf changing into Hendis Lycan model upon death. I'm really glad they changed this, hugely game impacting. I don't know why this one's bolded, but I guess it had to do with the hero, so maybe that's important. Bug fix is, oh, you can use Bottle Mango or Tangos on Spirit Bear now. Okay. You could use Tangos on Spirit Bear. I'm not sure what that means, but I guess you couldn't give him bottle charges before, or mangoes. Which, that's kind of a cool change, because that way if they mana drain your bear, you could hypothetically give him mana so he can roar or something like that. That's kind of cool. When using auto attack after spell, you no longer auto attack when denying allied units. I actually like that, because that happens to me a lot, where I'll try to deny something that I think is at half HP, but it's slightly above half HP, and then I'll auto attack a creep instead. And I don't know if I have auto attack after spell or not. I think I turned it back on. But I did for a period of time turn it off. But I found it was losing me attacks sometimes, so I changed it. Roshan's model size after Hex, Legacy keys on ally disconnect here. This one's so big, because when I play Legacy and somebody disconnects, when I'm using their hero, their hotkeys are changed to the same as when I'm with the hero I'm currently playing. But now what should happen is, if my Beastmaster leaves, then his hotkeys should be Beastmaster hotkeys, in which case I can play the Beastmaster. But if his hotkeys are reflections of my hotkeys on the hero I'm playing, then they're going to be completely wrong, and then I won't be able to play the hero as well. So this is a buff to ally disconnect heroes when you have legacy keys. A buff to me! Like, I feel slightly bad because it's all the shit that I shouldn't have problems with, but they fixed it to support all of these different people, which I'm super happy about. I'm sure it was extra work. In some ways, it probably wasn't worth the time for Valve to reprogram that. Hopefully it didn't take a guy more than like 2 days to program or some shit. I don't know how long it took, but it's huge quality life improvements. Improvements? That's not a fucking word. Fix it being possible to have multiple teleports to a tower without increasing the teleportation time. Some bug, probably. You can set spiderlings and spiderites to two different control groups. That's cool. I'm surprised you couldn't do that before. I'm pretty sure you could. I'm not sure what that's about. You can now independently bind in the Lycan, Visage, and Warlock summon units. Okay, I didn't realize you couldn't do that. But now you can probably, for example, without summoning your Visage birds again, you could hotkey... I could hotkey like 2 to both Visage birds. I could hotkey 3 to my... Or, for example, I'll do F1 for both visited birds, 2 to one bird and 3 to the other bird. That way I can independently micro them a little bit better. So that would be cool. Added response for Arcane Rune for some heroes. That's cool. Empty bottle on the ground model. That's super big. Quick cast not working with Tango. Didn't know that happened. Power treads not dissembling to its original components. Oh, I didn't know that happened either. It probably means if you take like a robe of the Magi with a gloves of hate, make treads, and then you disassemble it, probably turns into a belt of giant strength, aka transformation of items. Fix netherward damage not disabling blink. That's literally Pugna buff right there. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't disabling blink for some reason. Literally just a bug. Literally a nerf to Pugna. Pugna has been played arguably at least once as a counter to Senking, for example. And now, if he casts Epicenter within the nether ward, boom, blink's disabled. He's fucked. Like, that's actually a huge impact on the game for a bug fix. There's so many bug fixes like that actually change the game and change whether or not a hero is viable or not. Pretty cool. Added the ability to shift control group selection or deselection of units. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that didn't exist before. I just assumed it was like StarCraft, but maybe it wasn't. All clicking on item with levels like Dagon or Necro now displays the level. Cool. That looks irrelevant. This interrupts the sound when you cancel NP's ult or TP. That's cool too. Oh, interesting. So when there's an upgrade timer for Roshan, his health gets immediately upgraded rather than the next time he spawns. This is actually so goddamn huge. I don't know if this has always been like that. So basically Roshan gets stronger across the game, guys. But does this mean that a level 1 Roshan that starts the game at level 1 is not the same as a level 10 Roshan if he hasn't been killed? If that's the case, this is massive. This is like... I might be wrong on this. I don't know exactly how this works, because I assumed it already worked like this. But maybe it hasn't this whole time. Maybe it's been a bug. If this is the case, that means that it's harder to steal a Roche early in the game as a single hero. If you do it with the whole team, it's still pretty straightforward, but I think this is basically... This could be a hugely impactful change to the game. Because if before a level, like a 0-minute Roche is the same as a 15-minute Roche if you haven't killed him yet, that means stealing Roche is going to be a lot harder. And a lot of heroes might not be able to solo Roche anymore. Like Juggernaut TA. TA probably can still do it because she has Meld and Deso usually, but a lot of other heroes might not be able to Roche as easily. Ursa as well might be harder for him to Roche. This is pretty big. This could change a lot. So we'll have to see if it's the same. If you guys want to test it out, go try it out. I'm sure as hell not going to. I probably should, but I don't really feel like it, so... Luckily, I don't always play heroes like Ursa, TA, stuff like that. Fix Sunbeam tracking when casting Icarus dive. I think this is supposed to like spin around. When you used to cast Sunray while diving, the Sunray would be like, whoa, and like shoot like a laser show. But recently I saw it cast and it was like the Sunray was going the same way as he dived, which it was like in the same location, which I thought was wrong. Fix Spiderlings killing nearby trees and they die. Who knew? So many like little things like that. Snowball visual not following invisible units properly. I think I've seen that before. Okay. You can disable help to spore boulder smash and purifying flames. Oh, thank God. So people can't abuse the heal now to raise their MMR in games. I know that was a problem for like a week there. So many little things like that. Fix MAME not working against Spear Pair. I thought this one was really, really big too. I don't know if they put the space here on purpose or not so it was less hidden, but... I think this one is really big. I didn't know that MAME didn't work on Spear Bearer. If you guys don't know what MAME is, that's the Sanj. Like Sanj and Yasha, it's a pretty big slow. It's like a 32% movement and attack speed slow. So that means if you're a carry with Sanj and Yasha, hitting the Spear Bearer, and you're an agility carry or something, you're attacking really fast, you're going to MAME the guy eventually. And when you MAME the Spear Bearer and he gets his movement speed lowered by 32%, that gives you a much better chance to kill the bear. Now, naturally, he can just roar and run you away, but if you're magic immune or something like that, and you can now main the Spear Bear, that's big. This means that's a nerf to Lone Druid. A lot of heroes buy Sanj and Yasha. This means more bears will die in the course of a game because MAME now will work against Spear Bear, whereas it didn't before. That's a Lone Druid nerf, all because of bug fixes. So little stuff like this definitely impacts the game. That's why it's so important that Valve does this. Fix Charge of Darkness not ending when dying to Ice Blast. Never heard about that one. Fix Multicast ignites interaction with Lincoln Sphere. No idea how that works. Maybe it wouldn't work before. I have no idea. Fixed Incapacitating Bite not affecting illusions. That would be the third skill from Broodmother, the slow and movement or mischance one. Tether buff being incorrect on the target. I don't know what that means. Fixed recasting exorcism, not causing existing ghosts to return you and heal. Oh, that's really interesting. You could viably buy a refresher orb on DP now if you need a heal. Like, let's say you're dying with exorcism and you're about to die and you need a big heal instantly. What you could do is refresh and recast exorcism, and if you do that, the damage that the ghost did during the fight, they would now come back to you, excuse me, and heal you instantly. Well, not instantly, they would have to run back to you, but you could get a huge heal. This is actually massive. You could genuinely purchase Refresher Orb in late game scenarios when you're like 5, 6 items, 4, 5, 6 items deep. Buy a Refresher Orb, and if you needed to in a clinch moment, you could recast Exorcism just to get the heal to stay alive. It's there, it's a possibility. We won't see it a lot, might see it occasionally, but another bug fix that can potentially level or increase the level of Dota 2, which is cool. Oh, this is huge. Fix Orchid buff not remembering the damage properly when another Orchid buff instance is added to the same unit. So if I Orchid somebody and I do damage for 3 seconds, and then somebody else also Orchids that person, that damage that I just did is reset, and the Orchid is also reset. So usually when you reapply the exact same buff on a hero, it resets the buff completely. It starts it over again and does the same effect as it did before. So obviously, if 2 people on the team both Orchid the same guy, it will, in some ways, if they do it incorrectly, it'll reduce the damage done. So I think this is overall a good change. I don't know if this means that, let's say I Orchid somebody for 4 seconds, and then my ally Orchids them for 4 seconds. Does that mean that the 8 or the for 5 seconds, does that mean the 9 seconds of damage dealt to them applies to that one Orchid buff? It probably should, because any damage dealt during the first Orchid should be amplified by 20% or done as 20% magic at the end. So technically, it should be like this. So this is another buff to multiple Orchid lineups. This is basically a nerf to heroes that are countered by Orchid, because people will buy Orchid against those heroes, and if a lot of people buy Orchid, then it's going to further counter them. This is a cool change. Fix Lotus Orb interaction with Spirit Siphon, so it probably works against Spirit Siphon now. That's pretty big. Will counteract the ability pretty much.
Senpai said test.
Oh, great. That was really cool. That was I'm gonna mute Discord. That was definitely on Discord. I don't know. Yeah, I really should. I heard that sound while recording. Apparently there's some text-to-speech thing, and I have to turn it off on Discord, so... Okay, growing pains with Discord. Still a good program. Fixed mana drain with Aether Lens, Infernal Blade being disabled by Break. Okay, because this is kind of like an active skill. I think that's fair. Makes sense. Fix selling back items while dead in the range of the secret shop. Must be just a bug. Fix Ignite, not affecting the AoE if the target becomes spell immune before it lands. That's a cool buff. Buff to Ogre Magi, basically. If you cast on a Magic Immune hero, or a non-Magic Immune hero, they press BKB, it still hits in the AoE around that person, but it won't affect them, obviously. That's cool. Couple ARDM buffs here. Did they fix the BKB in ARDM? Fix Aghanim Scepter buffs not transferred to new heroes. Moonshard buffs not transferred to new heroes. Players not getting a new hero if they disconnected during respawn process, so that's a huge bug. I do like playing ARDM. The biggest one for me, in my opinion, is just that BKB goes back to 10 seconds whenever you die, and I think that should be fixed. If that's fixed in ARDM, I'm going to be really happy. I think that 100% needs to be fixed, though. I don't know if it has been. Maybe I missed a patch or something. Aphotic Shield becoming stronger from negative damage. You guys are probably like, what the heck does that mean? What this means is that the way the game is currently programmed, if you have Aphotic Shield, aka Abaddon's Shield, on a hero, and then you use Bane to lower their damage, so let's say you do 60 damage, Bane lowers your damage by 120, so you're actually doing negative 60 damage, and you start attacking somebody with Aphotic Shield, you're not doing 0 damage, you're actually healing that person for 60 damage per hit. It actually increases the Aphotic Shield. It's a very messed up and random bug interaction, but it's something that was dumb, basically. It needed to be fixed, simply put. So you could actually, same with Razor, if you reduce somebody's damage and they keep attacking the same target, with Aphotic Shield, it actually increases the shield. It's pretty crazy. Probably didn't happen in pro games very often, but it might have happened. It's entirely possible that it made an impact, by all means. Fix Earth Splitter with Aether Lens. Fix Earth Splitter giving vision at the center of the map. Which one's Earth Splitter? I think that's no, that's Split Earth. Is that Is that Legion or not Legion? God, my word acquisition is just not good today. Elder Titan. Is it Elder Titan's Ultimate? I think it is. So I actually bought it with Aether Lens before. I thought it worked. I think what this might mean is that it doesn't show the animation as long as it should be, maybe. Something like that. I didn't know it gave vision at the center of the map. Fix multicast ignite affecting units in Fog of War. I didn't know that it wasn't supposed to do that. But I guess it's kind of fair. Let's see what else. Fix spell stealing to consistently work on subspells, so it didn't work sometimes apparently. Teleport from TP scroll canceling when a directly targeted tower dies. Oh, okay, because that works like that for Boots of Travel, and that's fair. But if you use a TP scroll to directly TP on the tower, it should still go through. I see. That's actually another little bug. Lotus Orb fixes Agnam's Black Hole doing slightly less damage than intended. There's a lot of little stuff like this. Fix headshot damage going through spell immunity. It doesn't go through spell immunity? I did not know that. Huh. A lot of these things have big game applications. Honestly, I just recommend you guys go through and read them yourself, because me talking about every single one, 80% of them are just like, huh, not interesting, don't care. But some of them do have implications. Fix Mystic Snake ending if it hits an invisible unit. If it bounces to an invisible unit and they run out of Sentry Ward range, it could still bounce farther. Like, stuff like that could make or break a game, for example. I like this one a lot. Fix Tranquil Boots targeting when attacks land on dead units. Because sometimes I'll go for a last hit. The creep will die before I last hit it because I'm bad, and then my Tranquil Boots will still get targeted. So I think that one's a nice change. Fix Side Blades triggering when attacks land on dead units. This could actually impact TA as well. Because sometimes, for example, like, let's say you attack somebody, and right before, with a Melt Strike, and right before they die, you attack another time, so you technically have 2 attacks in the air at the same time. First one kills him and splashes to some enemies in the back, and the second one would still hit him while he's dead and splash as well. So the second one would not splash then, which I think is technically balanced. Fix Omni Slash being affected by damage block. Should it not be? That's a Juggernaut buff. At least if people buy, or if they're Tidehunter, or they buy Stout Shields. Not that it'll probably save them from Omni. Or if they buy Crimson Guard. So, lots of little things like this. Fix Shadow Dance not granting passive bonuses if affected by vision spells like Amplify damage. Interesting, I didn't know it did that. That's cool. Fix Stormform from stunning and damaging units if familiar died while landing. I've seen that before where that dies but it still stuns. It's kind of dumb. Charge of Darkness now destroys trees at the end of the charge. That's good. That way he doesn't get blocked in. Sometimes he'll charge somebody and he'll land the stun, but it'll be between trees, so he'll get stuck in the trees, and the person he charges is on the other side, and then he'll die. So that's actually pretty significant. That's a buff to Spirit Breaker in my opinion. Especially for the fact of if somebody's hiding in trees like a Tinker or something like that, it's a really big buff there. A lot of these are pretty big. Barrier, I think that's the shield for Pipe and... Well, not Pipe. Pipe and Hood, I believe. It's kind of cool. Fix multiple torrents behavior. I don't know what that means. Echo Stomp excludes Ancients from consideration. Does that mean it hits the small dragons now, I would guess? Echo Stomp is the first skill for Elder Titan. That's pretty cool. Oh, this is kind of a cool bug. Fix Untouchable slow malfunction if the enemy unit attacks on an illusion of a Enchantress first before. Okay. Not really a buff to Enchantress. 5-minute procs magic stick. This must be an ultra rare bug. It's kind of cool. It's lots of little bugs. So many little bugs we don't even know about yet that could be seen as like ultra OP if they got popular, for example. Sound issues, gameplay, stuff like that. Fix Techie's kill counter. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Does he not get kills sometimes? Does that mean that when he suicides it doesn't count for his deaths? I'm not sure. Apparently you used to be able to purge off Sunray. You can just stun him, that's one good way. Multicast will get disabled by break, that's pretty cool. Okay, you can disable collecting souls with Necromastery with Break. That's probably not going to matter, but it's a bug fix. Exorcism not attacking spell immune. Interesting. I didn't know it did that. Does it just not do it naturally? Do you have to right-click the hero? Maybe it'll make a difference. Okay, Desolator now applies its effect on attack landing, not attack starting. So it's still applied before the damage is calculated, but if I'm playing Clinks and I start a ranged attack, and my allies are all hitting that person, they don't get that minus armor damage up until my first attack lands. I think this is necessary. Pretty cool. You can purge off the blur buff. Is that a... That's the one that makes you invisible on the map, I think. Some of these are so weird, man. It's kind of like cool to think about how they work. The Song of the Siren turn off the song would proc a magic stick before. Just stuff like that. It actually made impacts, you know, in so many games. If Naga turns off her ulti in a fight, everyone gets 15 HP, 15 mana if they have a magic stick. Like that's so cool to think about how much all these little bugs affected things. Fix natural order not dynamically updating its armor reduction if the target's attributes change. I think this is actually a buff to Morphling, really. Because if you engage on a Morphling and he's all in agility and you reduce his armor by 40, but then he's switching to strength, if the minus armor stays on his agility, but he's going strength, then he's just hard countered. And in which case, switching to strength is maybe even not worth it for him if a Elder Titan is in the area. So that could affect Elder Titan's ability against Morphling. I think Elder Titan is one of the heroes that I really like right now. I feel like I always want to play him. That's what it feels like. Fix Rubik retaining Flesh Golem after death. That's fine. Haunt buff on Haunt Illusions being dispellable. Whatever. Visual bugs with Chilling Touch and Fog. You used to be able to see it when people would cast it, even if you didn't have vision. Fix Octarine Core Tranquil Boots. I've seen that as well with Arcane Rune, actually. Hopefully it did both. Because my Tranquil Boon cooldown would lower, but it wouldn't actually come off the cooldown until the normal time. It's kind of cool. Fix Static Link Vision debuff being purgeable. Fix Octarine Core Behavior with Iron Shell. I don't know what that means. Nice. Fix Rupture dealing continuous 0 damage instances. Thank God. Now when you get Ruptured, you can bottle yourself, you can earn, stuff like that. But before when you get Ruptured, even if you're standing still, Rupture would still be doing damage to you. So this is actually a nerf to Bloodseeker. So he's not saying he needs a big buff or anything, but this is actually a nerf to Bloodseeker for sure. If the person's standing still, they can now heal. So that's harder for Bloodseeker to deal with. Alright, they definitely wrote this on here twice because I read it up above. Fix Song of the Siren subskill proccing magic stick. There's actually so many bug fixes that they just actually couldn't proofread this thing. It was actually too much. Fix interaction between lifesteal and negative attack damage. I think this one's actually really cool if I remember. This is similar to what I talked about before about negative attack damage. I think the lifesteal might do... It either does damage to you or it heals your opponent. I'm not sure which. But it's something really wacky like that. But it's not fixed apparently. Pretty cool. Okay. I didn't know that lingered. They added Tinkerbane and Night Stalker to the item workshop, by the way, so we're going to see those heroes in items soon. Reference files for these heroes, so I'm guessing that means that it's if people are working on sets for these heroes, they need to update their sets a little bit. I don't know why they changed it, because a lot of these heroes already have items. Dragonite, Elder Titan, Juggernaut definitely has. Maybe they're just out of date. A lot of these heroes are pretty old. A lot of these heroes have been in the game a very, very long time. I don't know if Death Prophet has, but Clockwork, Crystal Maiden, Abaddon, Dragonite, Juggernaut, Leshrac Lich. I think most of those heroes I just named have been in the game almost the whole time. So maybe they just weren't quite up to date. They changed their standards or something like that. Fixed display of many autographs. That's good. That was actually a bug for a long time. You couldn't see their signature in game anymore. Bugs, 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 bugs. They fixed the rain cloth on Abaddon and default in custom items. Thank the Lord. I actually have no idea what that means, but it's pretty cool, I guess. And item workshop tools. I don't know anything about that. All right, that's it. Well, the last 25 minutes of this has been pretty boring, but Maybe I should have made the list. Anyways, sorry about that. I should have been like, these are the 15 most important talking points. But yeah, so this video mostly sucked. Sorry about that, guys. Next time I do something like this with this much irrelevant stuff, I am going to proofread it first. But it's cool. Props to Valve. Thanks for watching. I'm a skill cap, but more Dota players. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.